the Celestial that the weapon needed to be repaired before rushing into battle with it. The deadly sharp steel spear had a unique class with an attack power of 1100 points and a durability of 715. The option it possessed was an increased critical strike probability of 20%. It was a true miracle that the guy had created without using mana. The guy was satisfied. He had just fixed his spear, and his attack power had already increased by 300 points. Ilhan wanted to refine something else, but Erta was against it. It was time to go hunting. The hero took a deep exhale, for the angel was sometimes like a pain in the ass. When they went out into the courtyard, they saw the considerable destruction the city had suffered. Ordinary passers-by ran in the other direction away from the danger. Only Ilhan was heading straight to meet the monster. Erta, who was constantly by the hero's side, pointed him in the right direction. Subsequently, the young man saw the creature that was terrorizing the town. It was a huge leopard with red eyes. He growled wildly, trying to reach for the military helicopter. The soldiers shouted to each other. Not even an anti-tank missile worked. The head of the law ordered, "Those with second grades, go out and plug him with knives. If the military does nothing, the Blue House, the official residence of South Korea's president, will come under attack." Watching the actions of the military, Ilhan asked Erta, "Besides soldiers, those with second classes fight." A man who had a second class said, "In the other world, we can safely gain experience points. But fighting a strong opponent here on Earth, it's too much." The giant leopard's paw descended to the ground, wiping out a dozen people in one fell swoop. Even fighters with second-class fighters can't easily overcome a second-class monster. Ilhan thought they were not wrong. But things are somewhat different for him. "Even though people can go to another world, the Earth is where I live. So everything will lose meaning if it is destroyed," said the boy. The hero didn't plan to risk his life for others. Still, he decided not to be too emphatic. "If I have to try a little harder to save others, I'll do it," brought to the hero's mind. Ilhan moved with such speed that the human eye could barely notice it. The giant leopard continued to rampage and crush everything in its path. Erta reported, "This monster is definitely stronger than a huge brown bear." At that moment, the military fired a tank at the monster. They managed to hit the leopard with the first shot. The soldiers shouted, "Great! We got him! If we hit him in the face, we'll definitely hurt him." But the next moment, when the powder dust cleared, the men were in for an unpleasant surprise. The monster's head was intact. The military attack made the leopard very angry. The monster turned his head in the direction where the tank stood. Another moment and the giant cat's paw came down on the tank, preventing it from moving. The leopard lifted the tank and opened its giant maw full of bones. For a moment, the monster froze, scrutinizing its prey. The tank fit in its paw. At this moment, Ilhan pushed off the ground and flew into the air, rapidly approaching the leopard. "I have never been more grateful than now for the inconspicuousness of my presence," ran through the hero's mind. The leopard's eye was very close. Just a moment more, and Ilhan's spear would hit its target. The creature screamed wildly in pain. Blood spurted from the attacked eye, and the leopard released the tank from its paw. The system rated the hero's hit as critical. People immediately recognized their hero. A whisper was heard in the crowd. "Sunbolt! He has not gone to the next world. We are saved." The tank released by the leopard's paw began to fall to the ground. Ilhan froze in place, trying to analyze the situation. The wounded leopard continued to growl loudly. The hero decided he'd better bounce now, and pushed off and flew into the air. "The leader of the military detachment told us to open fire right away." The captain ordered the leopard to be shot with everything the military had on hand. Meanwhile, Ilhan tried to rescue the soldiers who had become hostages of a tank hurtling toward the ground. The hero aimed his laser gaze directly at the metal machine. The young man managed to cut the tank in half like a tin can. The soldiers who were inside looked at the hero with frightened eyes. The guy said, "If you don't want to die, hold my hand tight." One of the soldiers grasped Ilhan's arm tightly. The hero grabbed both military men and bounced off the falling tank. The young man landed unharmed on a hard surface, and the soldiers were also unharmed. People thanked Sunbolt from the bottom of their hearts for their amazing rescue. Ilhan thought, "I didn't do it to be considered a hero. I only saved them because I could do it." Suddenly, the lad's ear caught some disturbing sounds. The young man ordered the soldiers to flee. The danger was rapidly approaching. A giant predatory leopard loomed over them like a mountain, saliva flowing from its mouth. The monster's entire eye was aimed directly at its victims. The hero said, turning to Earthy, "This monster is smarter than a bear. He understands who poses the greatest threat to him." The Celestine asked Ilhan to be very careful. She added, "The leopard has spotted you. Your stealth ability has stopped working." The hero replied to the angel with a smile, "Don't worry. This is an enemy I can defeat even if I fight directly." The creature was fast approaching. Not only Ilhan was threatened, but everyone else here as well. The commander of the military operation shouted, "This is our chance, attack!" A bunch of different bullets were fired at the leopard at the same time. The monster is focused on Sunbolt. Now is the perfect opportunity to attack. Everyone use magic. Try to hit the leopard's eyes," shouted one of the heroes. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning appeared in the sky and hit the monster directly. The leopard was again attacked right in the eye. It roared wildly in pain. People looked up and saw a helicopter in the sky. Inside sat a girl with lightning discharges visible around her. The crowd murmured, "Did this girl really summon lightning? It's the Empress. The Empress is here." The girl was very beautiful, her looks impressing all the men she saw. The leopard continued to roar. The military did not stop their attack. The monster quickly came to its senses and lunged straight at Ilhan. The hero didn't back down, he was waiting for this attack. A leopard's paw with sharp claws was rapidly approaching Ilhan. The young man managed to bounce away, so he managed not to get hurt. The predator's one eye had yet to recover from the hero's attack. The guy decided to hit the same spot again to deprive the monster of his sight. The crowd watched Sunbolt's actions uninterruptedly. The Empress heard people saying, "What will we do if Songbolt dies?" Supergirl didn't take her eyes off the leopard. She tried to make out Ilhan's silhouette. Suddenly, onlookers from the crowd shouted, pointing their fingers in that direction. On the asphalt, right under the leopard's feet, blood flowed down. A whole puddle had already formed there. At first glance, it might have looked like a giant hedgehog sticking out of the monster's head. But it was actually a hero who took advantage of the power of his armor. Ilhan said to Erti, "Look, I think my money has paid off, don't you agree?" The Celestial was silent for a moment, and then replied cryptically, "I have something I want to tell you." "You look awful, unbelievably awful," expressed her opinion to the angel. The hero replied, "Under the circumstances, looks don't matter. The important thing is that the outfit does its job." "So you're okay with Lita seeing you in this guise?" Erta slyly inquired. Ilhan exclaimed, "No, never." At this moment, the leopard roared loudly and rose up on its hind legs. The monster was moving too intensely. Eartha, who was sitting on the hero's head, began to vomit. Ilhan exclaimed as the monster tore forward, "I should have learned rock climbing." The leopard was really smart. To get rid of the hero, he decided to smash his head through a building. The needles on the hero's armor disappeared. He managed to bounce back in time. But that wasn't all. The hero did a somersault in the air and attacked the monster again. This time, sharp spikes appeared on the soles of his shoes. All the while, the young man did not let his super spear out of his hands. It was the turn of the critical strike, which you, Ilhan, took advantage of. The hero's critical strike skill has reached level 2. The military, who were closely monitoring the situation, saw that the leopard had slowed down and opened fire to kill it. People shouted, encouraging the soldiers, "Keep firing! Faster, faster! Charge!" For a Class 2 monster, attacks from people who only have Class 1 have no effect. But there was blood on the leopard's paw from the cuts the humans had inflicted on it. "Sometimes even an army of ants can overpower an elephant," Ilhan said, turning to Erti. "This demonstrates the importance of strategy." The Celestial advised the guy to finish sooner rather than later. He asked, "Why?" "I think they can take care of everything else." But the angel saw more than the human. Erta explained, "This leopard is on the verge of getting a 3rd class." The next moment, something resembling red tentacles emerged from the resulting wound on the monster's head. The hero exclaimed in disgust, "What kind of demoness is this?" Erta explained, "The monster's upper body has begun to mutate. Evolution is happening too fast." Ilhan shouted out, "I'm not the best at this. Bring an elven archer or a princess knight." The Celestial replied irritably, "Do you realize that this is no time for jokes? I hope you realize that I won't be able to save you if you die here." The hero replied, "I thought jokes would at least help me not die." But of himself, the guy thought to himself, "He hasn't fully turned into a 3rd-class monster yet. I need to deal with him while I have the chance." Before the young man could even finish his thoughts, a bolt of lightning from the sky struck the monster. The electrical discharge was able to destroy some of the tentacles. Ilhan looked up and saw the helicopter the Empress was sitting in. Beauty exclaimed, "I can't kill him. The difference in levels is too great." The guy thought, "What the hell, it keeps regenerating. I need to deal enough damage to the monster so that the monster stops regenerating." The Empress exclaimed, turning to Ilhan, "I can strengthen you with magic. But after that I won't have any manim left." "Are you sure you can kill this leopard?" Beauty asked. The young man exclaimed impatiently, "Just send me away already." The girl replied, "Then I'm counting on you." The next moment the Empress jumped off the wing of the helicopter and flew to the ground. For a moment Ilhan seemed numb. He was amazed at the brave girl's act. When the beauty was right in front of him, the hero shrieked and fell silent. The Empress said, "I need to make physical contact. It will take all my mana, and after that, I won't be able to help you anymore." Holding a pause, the girl added, "My life will be in your hands." The hero was confused. "What do you mean her life will be in my hands? You shouldn't be so gullible." The Empress stretched her hand forward and said, "It's time to begin." At the same instant, the hero received a message from the system. "The Spirit of Thunder has taken over your body. Attack power, movement speed, and critical hit probability increased by 50% for 30 seconds. Thunder is empowered during each attack. After the enhancement ends, the effectiveness of all abilities will be reduced by half for 3 minutes. Next message from the system. Erda said, "That's remarkable for a human. You were able to withstand that much mana, to both attack and have reinforcement while only possessing a first class." Ilhan made the decision to act this very minute. There was no time to lose. With a war cry, the hero attacked the leopard, thrusting his spear into it. The Empress shouted, "If we don't kill it, the military will launch missiles. And if it comes to that, we won't be able to contain the damage the monster will do to buildings and people." The hero's mind flashed. "I can't let this happen after all, my workshop is nearby." It was time to use the critical strike skill that had been strengthened with Empress magic. Ilhan repeated the blow, blood splattered in all directions. In the same second, the system reported that the hero had gained 784,983 experience points and reached level 28. His strength, agility, health, and mana increased by 5%. The last message was the best. "You have received a recording of a level 87 giant leopard." Erda praised the young man. "Well done, Ilhan. It's great that you managed to finish off the monster before it got level 3. The Empress asked, shocked, "Is this leopard surely dead?" The hero replied, "Yes, for sure. Didn't you get the experience?" The girl said confusedly, "I wasn't on the same team as you." Such thoughts arose in the young man's mind. "A team? Is there really such a system here? I've always gone alone, so I didn't even know about it." "It's not my fault at all that I didn't know about it," thought the hero. Erda, who could read minds, mouthed, "Yeah, loners like that don't join a team. Forget about it. You don't need it." Message from the system. Reinforcement time has expired. The effectiveness of all abilities will be reduced by half for 3 minutes. It was at this point that the leopard began to fall, nearly dragging the hero down with it. It seemed like just a moment more, and the slain monster would crush the young man. Ilhan thanked Earthy for the advance warning. Otherwise, the leopard might indeed have crushed him. The Celestine replied, folding her arms across her chest, "You barely won. It would have been a great disappointment if you had died crushed by the leopard's corpse." The crowd shouted in shock, "You did it! You did it!" The young man froze in place, stunned by the shouts of his supporters. "The help from the Empress was impressive. Empress!" the people chanted. Erta said, turning to Ilhan, "You are being praised. Rejoice." Angel noticed the young man's stupor and asked, "What's the matter? The enemy is finished. You have won." The hero looked so disappointed that he didn't have the strength to even answer. A moment later, mastering his own emotions, the hero cried out, "I just now noticed that the leopard's skin is all tattered. I can't make a new leather armor out of that." Celestia was amazed that this was so important to the guy. Meanwhile, a conversation was going on between the military men. "The leopard is dead. Because of this, it has been halved. How shall we divide the trophy?" One of the soldiers replied, "First, we have to break it into pieces. Let me try." The uniformed man had yet to plunge his dagger into the monster's skin when someone behind him asked him to wait. It was Ilhan. The young man said, "Processing corpses is my specialty." The hero apologized, turning to the Empress. He asked the heroine how it would be best to divide the monster's body. Meanwhile, from the crowd of men, one could hear, "Wow, she's so pretty. Who knew the Empress was so pretty?" After thinking for a bit, the girl said, addressing Yu Ilhan, "You'll get 60%, 20% to me, and 20% to the others." The hero looked back to the others and wondered if everyone was okay with it. Then the guy raised his head to the sky and hummed, muttering to himself, 60%. In the next instant, pushing off the ground, Songbolt slid onto the leopard's body. The young man decided not to hesitate and immediately thrust his hand into the monster's head wound. After a second, he pulled out a pink magic stone. Ilhan said, "I knew there would be one here." Erda said, "You should expect high quality from this stone, as the leopard has almost evolved to 3rd class. "It's a magic stone! A 2nd-class magic stone!" Empress said it could be counted for 60%. Hero clenched the stone in his fist and said, "Then this will be the part that belongs to me, and divide the rest as you wish." A man in military uniform exclaimed, "But it's a magic stone. It must be counted separately." Other people picked up on his thought. "We also put our lives on the line in the struggle. We have also been wounded. We are against this distribution." Erda said, "It was to be expected. Low creatures are completely hopeless. I was a fool to think everyone was like you." The hero thanked the Celestial for this praise. The woman sighed. "At least you realized it was a compliment." Yu Ilhan said, addressing the crowd, "Okay, if everyone is against it, we'll do it like this." Angel didn't understand what he was getting at. A man in military uniform said, "Good decision. How lucky you are to be a well-mannered person who listens to the opinions of others. A young man who was standing nearby added, We should have done it sooner. Erta asked the hero, What are you going to do? Are you really going to give them the magic stone just like that? Yu Ilhan replied, It's not easy to convince people in a situation like this. At such a moment, the hero remembered his mom's words. The woman was saying, Son, remember, building relationships with words between people who want to outdo you is very difficult. So what's the use of words when you can use your strong fists? Mom added with a smile. The boy was still young at the time and thought his mom was incredibly cool. He said, turning to the angel, Like a good son, I'll take my mom's advice. Ilhan said he was going to give away the magic stone, but he decided to do it in an unusual way, so he threw the magic artifact back into the leopard's body. The young man said, addressing the crowd, Divide the spoils as you wish. Like you said, I'll get my share. The next moment, the hero jumped to the ground and added, If I don't get my 60%. He paused. No one leaves here in one piece, Sunbolt later threatened. The young man thrust his spear into the ground with all his might, which frightened the people even more. A whisper was heard in the crowd. Those present had time to regret their behavior. Even if they all united, they couldn't do anything to the hero. After a bit of consultation, one of the men said, addressing Ilhan, Just take the magic stone. The military man added, Do whatever you want. They couldn't see the hero's face, but he was pleased with the crowd's change of mood. The young man jumped onto the leopard's body again with the intention of searching for the magic stone. The next moment, he heard the voice of the Empress behind his back. If you give me my share when processing, I'll give you 40% of it back. I'll give you more skin than bones. The hero decided not to argue, and immediately agreed to the girl's proposal. Time passed, and the leopard skin was folded into even posts. Ilkan thought that an auto would be needed to transport all this. The hero saw that the Empress was making a phone call somewhere. She must be calling for a car. She's either from a rich family or owns a successful business. If you think about it that way, the Empress flew here by helicopter. It's not a cheap pleasure. The military man asked Sunbolt pleadingly, Can you process our fate as well? This turn of events didn't really please Yu Ilhan, but his disappointed expression was hidden behind a mask. He saw the eyes of the crowd full of hope and realized that these men would not be up to such a difficult task. Sunbolt, please save us. We need your help, the people begged pitifully. We can't remove the skin on our own. Even if we try to do it, we'll only mess it up, the men said. And the military man added, I also want to get the trophy and go to the next world as soon as possible, Erta said irritably. Inferior creatures that they are. A minute ago they were trying to take the magic stone from you, and now they're begging you to help with the processing. Humans have a complete lack of shame. Celestia muttered to herself, I don't like my job. I guess I'll quit and move to the country. The hero heard everything and said to her back, Yeah, and get Lita as your replacement. After the guy's words, Erta calmed her own feelings and decided to work some more. Yu Ilhan said, addressing the crowd, For processing, I will take 50% from you. People were displeased with such a proposal. What? Why take 40% from the Empress and 50% from us? This is discrimination. You want 50% just for processing fees? The hero was not going to bargain with them. He replied, If you don't want it, you don't have to. The men tearfully agreed to his offer. They watched the lads labor intently, occasionally releasing a comment. Look, divide it into equal parts. Why are you taking one share more? Just look at the size difference. Why are you talking to me on a first-name basis? How old are you? Where is the respect for your elders? The men scolded unhappily. Ilhan thought tiredly, It's time to go home. The young man had already taken a few steps away when suddenly someone asked him to wait. Sunbolt paused, waiting for an explanation. It was the Empress. The girl said, Your stealth skill is astounding. I wouldn't have noticed you disappear if I wasn't focused on you. The young man irritably thought, I wasn't the one who chose this skill. Belle offered, I'd like to form a team with you if that's okay with you. I think you would make the perfect partner. Yu Ilhan replied in a confident voice, I don't think so. The girl replied with a smile. I see. I plan to stay on Earth. I'm not so weak that I need to return to another world for tasks. You too? We'll probably see each other a lot more often, the beauty added. She handed the guy her business card and asked him to contact her. Then the Empress turned around and walked away. The piece of paper was left in Yu Ilhan's hand. The beauty's name is actually Kang Mir. The hero confusedly thought, So that's what the Empress's real name is. I like that she's not pushy, but I'm not going to call her. But I'm not going to call her anyway. Sunbolt said to Earthy, Let's go home. There's still a lot of work left to do. Leopard skin won't treat itself, so the hero has something to do this evening. Once in the workshop, the young man immediately set about making traps. Erta said, The monster was already about to evolve to Class 3. What's wrong with Earth? Ilhan advised her to ask God about it. The enraged